So I can get a beer, or I can get a beer now. Like, that's what it's. We're
Yes,
vibing, man.
you could just
It's
get
okay.
you could just get a beer. Yeah. I
That's how I live my life. You know what I could do? I could just get a beer.
there's
I can't
not
do that at work.
it's one of the things that's just objectively better about being an adult, you know?
You can do whatever you
Yeah.
want.
It's not beer specific. Like I just ordered camera gear cuz I want it. So I did.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start. Oh, I gotta wait till the intro to start recording. I was gonna say I'll start recording now, but I'll do it for the
I
intro.
mean, you could, but it's just, you just larger file sizes all. All right. That looks good. I've got levels from me. Let's, Hat, say something.
Something.
All right. Vigil?
Vigil saying something.
Okay. I'm going to drop that down, and then I'm going to bring Vigil up. See, it was a bit quiet compared to Hat. All right, Hat, one more time. And Vigil.
One more time. That was me being a little loud. I probably could talk more like this.
All right. I think I got that more or less dialed in. One more time. Now I'm going to be humming that for the rest of the day. Alrighty
Sounds
then.
like an occasion to celebrate.
I love it when a music reference hits, and usually it only hits for Vigil. So, and I find out via tweet like a week or two after the episode posts.
Yeah.
Or Vigil's like, "Yo, I got that."
I love it. I love all the music references.
It's nice.
Yeah, catching all the references has been harder, but I'm trying to be better and get them faster so the podcast can be stronger.
Wow, you are apparently not only as strong with the puns as I ever remembered, but a giant Daft Punk nerd.
I like their live album. That live album, I think, is just a perfect album. The Alive 2007, I think. I think it's
I've
just perfect.
never listened to it.
It's their more recent one, even though it's not that recent anymore. Punk Alive. Yeah, 2007. Wow, 15 years ago. I want to die. So, but it's really, really great because the way they do live, like basically every song they do is a mashup of two of their songs.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
so like really, really great. Like they did Around the World for the bass for the Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger stuff, and like really, really good. My second favorite Daft Punk album is the Tron Legacy soundtrack,
Yes.
which is really good.
Every year, it is one of my most played albums on my Spotify. Every year since it's released. It's a good. I need to write, but I want music, but I can't have lyrics because I need to write. That's like one of my go-tos.
I'm the same way. I can't do anything productive if the music has vocals because that's all I'm paying attention to. So like if I have to do something productive, I'll usually listen to lo-fi hip hop just because it's like soothing background noise kind of stuff.
I haven't gotten into lo-fi. I went over to a friend's like last month. They had us over, Katie and me, and they had it going the whole time. And I was like, this rules. And then
I'm a big fan.
Didn't return to it.
There's a record label called Pure Noise. They have a bunch of like pop punk and some hardcore and like some emo bands and stuff. And they put out a lo-fi record with their bands on it. It's so good because it's like the songs but lo-fi. So like the vocals are like
that's Story So Far is on that label.
Yeah, Story So Far, yeah. They have a couple songs on there and it's awesome.
We just went to our first concert in a long ass time. We went and saw New Found Glory, and it was a hell of a show. It's a good time. One of the only like 3 bands that plays shows in Florida.
Yeah, I was gonna say how Floridian are you doing that?
I mean, I was born in Florida, so I'm about as Floridian as they come. So yeah. Also, it was the only Florida date, so it went off. It was the most energetic show I've been to post COVID. It felt it could have been 2009, man. It was nuts.
I had I used to have a Newfound Glory shirt that said Coral Springs Easy Core.
Yep.
Yeah,
I didn't
I had
have
that shirt.
one, but Katie has that shirt.
Yep.
I don't know if I've mentioned this on a pre-show or hell during a show, if we've ever talked music before, but that's how I started talking to her. We both showed up to the same class one day, both wearing like day glow blue Newfound Glory shirts. They weren't the same design, but they were both day glow blue. And so I started talking to her about Newfound Glory, and then I asked her on a date, and it worked. And
That's awesome.
yeah, now we're
music is a unifying thing in a lot of people's lives. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit in between, obviously, but
of course. Did you guys do the Spider-Man thing where you're just like pointing at each other, like, wait, you?
I so much of that memory is fuzzy, but I think I played it cooler than that. Also, Katie's a lot more of an understated individual than me, so I don't think I don't even think I could imagine Katie going, you. But yeah, I think I was just like, oh, look at us, something like that. Like, I don't know. I'm sure I had some kind of joke like, oh, it's so embarrassing you wore the same thing, or then we just started talking, because that would have been, this is so long ago. This was at the Sticks and Stones had just come out.
Good album.
So which was the tour we just went to. So it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
Wow. Make me feel older, Garrett. Come on.
Don't blame me. Blame the endless march of time. It's not my fault.
Arguably.
You can blame both things at the same time.
Why?
Because blame two things at once.
You can't. All I did was relay a fact. I was not alive 20 years ago, says Lepton. Well, that honestly is a compliment. I just assume nobody under the age of 30 can relate to me. So.
Lepton, I'll be double that age next year. So that's exciting.
Oh, you turned the big 4-0?
Yeah, I've turned 39 in November, and then next year, November, I'll be the big 4-0.
Oh, well, congrats on making it.
Thank you.
Sticks and Stones changed my bones, says the meat attorney. Insert Thanos Dustin gif. Yeah, that happens a lot. You know, if you're lucky enough to get old enough, that will happen more and more. So.
I try not to look at my employees' birthdays anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We have to do favorite name tag, favorite movie on the name tag at work. And we were talking about horror movies. And it's like, oh, yeah, when I was a kid, I saw The Babadook in theaters. I was like, that movie's recent.
Oh God, that hurts.
He's like, it wasn't that long ago. I'm almost ready to turn 21, and I crumbled. Wow. I crumbled.
There's a friend we always see in Key West when we're down there. We saw her again this year, and we were like reminiscing on the fact that we have, like, through weird, just the way life works, you know, you end up like hanging out and talking. And when we first met her, I think she was 20, and not going to mention this person's name, but they totally had a fake ID, and that's how we started talking in a Key West bar. And we were just trying to realize how long we've now been friends with this person and how long it's been since the fake ID incident. It made me feel really old, because I already think of them as our young friend.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Just an update too. I am free for the whole show. I'm going to just go over there later.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So
okay.
So we can start.
We have dodged the mom situation.
We've dodged it.
Dazzlin Dorn says I would call you boomers, but I'm older than you. All right, Dazzlin Dorn. Okay, boomer, Dazzlin Dorn. That's what we'll do.
I only say that when I'm playing against Warriors. Okay, Dr. Boomer.
Side note, real quick before we start, what does your name tag say? It says
my favorite movie.
It says your name. Yes, it says your name, obviously. But then, what is your favorite movie under that?
Mad Max Fury Road.
I knew that.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Is it really?
Yeah. Why are you surprised?
No,
Have you seen the movie?
You know, it's great. There's a lot of movies, and I just didn't expect that to be your favorite.
Yeah. I mean, I don't expect other people to not have it as their favorite, but they're allowed to be wrong, I guess.
Mm.
And speaking of, by the way, speaking of instrumental soundtracks to be productive to, if you put on the Mad Max soundtrack while you were working on something, you will like the intensity of whatever you were producing will be incredible. It is a very good background soundtrack for everything except driving on highways because then you
I was
will
about
get
to
a
say I
speeding
made that
ticket.
mistake, and I looked
No,
down and was like, "Oh, I need to slow my roll," quite literally.
it's yeah, it's a very easy way to go 95.
So, Vigil, what would you put on your name tag if you worked at a movie theater?
Oh my goodness. Uh,
It's a hard question because there are two different ways to decide if a movie is your favorite. There's the movie you respect the most, and the movie that you like rewatching the most. The
Thank
movie
you.
that like
yeah,
Thank you.
the whimsy
yeah.
factor and the art factor. And they're like there will be blood. I'll watch it once a decade. Awesome, incredible movie, but like I can't handle that all that often.
Sure.
Whereas Super Troopers, I can quote the entire movie from my
Yes.
head. And those are different axes of favorite movies. So
What
before Mad Max
what do
Fury
you?
Road came out, I put Catch Me If You Can, which is right in the middle.
Yep.
Mm,
That's a good movie.
it's a good movie.
It's a great one.
What are you talking about, Meow?
Uh, did you say meow?
Yeah.
Do I look like a cat to you, boy?
I don't see you jumping
You
on
see,
Nibbly Bibbly from tree to tree, so
do you see me drinking milk from a saucer?
I don't see you eating mice.
Now you stop laughing right meow. Meow, I'm gonna have to give you a ticket on this one, Mr. Larry Johnson.
This is why we're friends. This is why we're friends.
No bus meow. It's the law.
You're the one you respect the most versus the one you want to watch for fun. My example is always Alien versus Aliens. Alien is like I think it's an overall just better movie. It's a tighter script, but Aliens is the one I want to watch like more often. I love them both deeply, but yeah, I think one is like more important to film, and the other is the thing I want to watch because it's fun. It makes me happy.
That's fair. I don't know what my like favorite movie would be, but I think The Big Lebowski would be up there with the one that I've watched so many times. I just love
Dude,
watching it. I'm just like, this is awesome. I was also
yeah,
talking today about The Princess Bride and how good that movie is
that's a
too.
great movie.
That is a movie I
It's
didn't
so
watch
good.
until I was in my 20s, and it's amazing. And I don't know why it took me so long to watch it.
It's so good.
It is. It is a really good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
So
probably,
like,
knowing the ridicule, go with Return of the Jedi. I just love that movie. It's probably the movie I've seen the most.
it's a great movie.
It's just really fun. I don't care about the Ewoks. I think they're great. I love them.
I like the Ewoks.
Listen, Star Wars discourse over the past 30 years has changed dramatically. I think Return of the Jedi wouldn't even get a passing
Well, I'm
glance at
old
this
enough
point.
to remember when that was the Star Wars we were all making fun of.
If you put The Last Jedi on your name tag, I wouldn't want to work on your shifts.
I've stopped wearing my shirt that has my own podcast name on it that says "Let's Talk About Star Wars" in public because when I got it printed,
Because you don't want to.
I didn't realize it was a directive, and there was one too many grocery store trips where I just wanted the cashier to stop talking to me about their Last Jedi opinion. And
So what you do is you get a T-shirt for Let's Talk About Star Wars, and you put a picture of Jean-Luc Picard in the middle, and just see what happens.
Oh wow.
no,
Wow.
because now Picard has come out, and it's also just god awful. So people want to talk to your opinions about how bad or good Picard is, and I just don't want to hear it. That Picard show is bad.
So, is there any TV show with the word "star" in it where people don't just offer you their opinions as though you asked? Battlestar Galactica?
Maybe.
Stargate?
Oh, Stargate.
Stargate's
yeah.
solid.
Yeah.
I'm
But
an
if someone in
SG-1
the
fan.
room
I'll
knows about
SG-1 it.
Stargate, they're gonna nerd out. They're gonna,
True.
Yeah,
come
it's
swinging with
true.
the nerds, with the nerdery.
But
'Cause
also Christopher Judge, who's also Kratos. Like I'm here for. I'll talk about that.
I've only seen a handful of SG-1 episodes. As a kid, I freaking loved the movie. Like I watched Stargate a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And then that dude became Ultron, and that wasn't his best role.
Oh yeah. That movie was fine.
It's
I think the biggest crime that movie committed was following the first Avengers, which was, I think, perfect.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just never need to watch it again. I never have a desire to watch Avengers 2.
Yeah.
I just want to watch the apartment scene. That's it. It's the only scene I want to watch. Shall we do a podcast?
We kind of just did.
I know we just did, but shall we do a podcast with the topic?
Let's talk about.
Mm.
Let's
We
talk
also just
about
did that.
talking about Star Wars.
Shall we do a Hearthstone podcast?
I'm up for it.
Would you like to
I'll
do a
record.
Hearthstone?
I'm not going to commit to staying on track, but I will commit to recording.
Okay. All right. I can do that. I'm going to turn on my local recording that is getting only me and me only. Is everyone else recording?
Recording.
Yee.
Staying on rewards track, says Lepton. It's a good joke. That's a good joke.
Nice job, Lepton. Proud of you.
How do I sort by class again? Where's the thing?
Oh, on the card library? It's in the search.
Wait, ooh, is it though?
In the sort by, group by class. I am just impressed at still how terrible this design is. There's blank space next to the sort by field. They could have just had a checkbox right there.
Okay, so my current
But under
issue
where it
is
says sort by most recent.
my current issue is it is grouped by class, but Warlock is on top, followed by neutral. Why?
The class order here is so it's by so we have to sort by name. Sort card name.
Nope, didn't change. What
It
if
didn't.
I ungroup
No.
by class and then go back to nope, still didn't change.
It's hard fixed on most recent. So my current advice is use a different website.
All right, going to Hearthstone.
Hearthstone top decks.
Oh,
Hearthstone. I don't know if Hearthstone has like a list, but Hearthstone top decks does.
they do.
Maybe Hearthstone does.
They have a massive banner
What
at the
is this?
top that takes you straight there, and it's grouped in class alphabetical order.
Sure.
So that's what I'm going to go with
Seems fine.
because I am.
Ooh, they've got underglows.
I haven't updated what websites I visit since 2013.
I can tell. Hearthstone was not that.
The beta.
You're gonna turn on a streamcast.
beta
Like you're gonna turn on a
was
streamcast, and it's gonna be hot slogs.
Hearthstone beta started in 2013.
It did November. You're right.
Yes.
That was Artosis's Worlds.
Yes, he won with Blizzard, and everyone thought it was rigged.
And a hilarious and still topical conversation to this very day.
Yep. All right, are we good to go?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wonderful. Angry Chicken episode. God, where are we now? 474 records live in 3, 2, 1. The Angry Chicken Hearthstone podcast is produced by amove.tv. Check out Amove TV for more podcasts covering Blizzard games. For more of Jocelyn's gaming podcasts, visit jossplays.com. And to find many more podcasts with Ridiculous Hat, follow @RidiculousHat on Twitter. Every episode of TAC is made possible thanks to our legendary patrons over at patreon.com/TAC.
Time's up. Let's do this.
Legendary!
You face Jaraxxus. You smell like a leper gnome. I knew it. So hot. A podcast about Hearthstone and Battlegrounds. This is The Angry Chicken.
Greetings and welcome back, me. This is The Angry Chicken, the podcast all about Hearthstone. I'm Garrett, here, as always, with the Ridiculous Hat. Jocelyn is out this week, but that's all right, because I am also here, as always, apparently, with Jonathan Vigil.
What's up, guys? Third week in a row. This is a podcast first for me. I've never done 3 podcasts in a row. Weekly podcasts.
Yeah, I mean,
Thanks for having me, guys.
technically all podcasts are in a row. It's just with long enough.
That's true.
Is it?
I mean, just depends on how much time is in between. He quantified it with
All right,
weekly.
So I've been holding it down for Garrett the past couple of weeks. So I got to get my Joce in here, and I got to say, just F Demon Hunter at the top of the show, just for Joce.
Oh, Nice. I felt that, like with the glitter and all. It came in. I'm mad Joce isn't here. I went to a lovely new bar in Key West, which is where I spent the last week and a half, where it was completely decked out in unicorns and glitter. And they put edible glitter on all of their drinks. And it was just, Katie and I were there like, we got to send this to Joce, which we did in Discord. But I just wanted to like yell at her about it on a podcast where the topic has nothing to do with my visit to a bar in Key West. But yeah.
Strong start. But I did see the pictures. It was a very, very Jocelyn-ish, Joss-ish bar.
Yeah, so if you want like a glitter fantasy world cocktail bar and you find yourself in Key West, Florida, go to Tutu & Co. That's what it's called. Enjoy. All the bar stools have tutus on them. It's great.
What is edible glitter? Is it just like sugar crystals or something?
Super metallic sprinkles, essentially. But it's so fine, it just looks like crafting glitter. But yeah, it's edible. It was weird. My mouth looked just wrong by the end of the night. Just absolutely wrong. Just completely covered in glitter. It's a good time. It was a good time. But alas, I have been out of the loop for a long time. So today's episode will be Explain Nathria to Garrett like he's 5. That's going to be today's episode of The Angry Chicken. Because I just got back and I hit the ground running. I have been recording and/or streaming all damn day. And I really haven't moved my education of what's coming with Murder at Castle Nathria beyond I really want to play Dude Paladin.
You do.
That's where I left. I took a break. I hit pause. I hit play right where I left off. I just want to play Dude Paladin.
Yes. Well, we're going to hit play in 8 days when the expansion goes live. But we do have some experiences to share because Joce and I got to play with the cards and theory crafting because Blizzard is cool and invited us. So we'll talk about that after we thank some very important people.
Yes, our lovely patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. If you're supporting us over there, thank you very much. And we've got quite a few new patrons to thank. So Donnie B, Andy B, and Demir S. Thank you for signing up. We really appreciate it. If you've never checked it out before, you can get access to our patron-only Discord server as well as an ad-free version of the podcast for your trouble. So check it out, patreon.com/TAC. Thanks for the support, everybody. And let's get into this week's lack of news.
Good news, everyone!
We are in what I am affectionately calling Nathria limbo. For me, coming out of like a stasis from 2 weeks, I'm overwhelmed. I'm just like, oh God, I don't even know where to start. All the cards are out. And I kind of just start shaking.
The card reveal sequence, the whole sequencing this reveal season has been a little funky. So where we're at right now is roughly the same as last expansion, with the exception of last expansion. The theory crafting streams would be in 3 days from now, and instead they were 3 days ago. But last expansion, they were like a week later, right before the fireside, right before the launch of the expansion, and instead they were a week earlier. So we got the cards earlier. A lot of people are theory crafting. It's great for written content creators. I know that over at Fish Syndicate, Zach has to write articles. Like he rates every card and then builds 3 decks per class, and he's like, "This is fantastic. This is amazing." But for everyone that played Voyage Standard and then watched Nathria Standard, and it's like, I got to go back to Voyage. Everyone just kind of sitting and waiting, and when do we get to do the new thing?
It feels like there's
where I'm at.
Does it feel like there's a bit of a momentum issue? Because it felt like, to me, coming in off on the back of the theory crafting, which I honestly, with me traveling, I wouldn't notice, but because y'all got in, I'm still in that Discord. I'm seeing what y'all are talking about. It was very exciting and very present in my mind that theory crafting was happening. And then I get back and it's just all over. And there's just nothing happening this week. It just feels kind of weird.
It's an issue right now. And in a month, no one will remember that this happened. It's all very much a moment, right? A part of the now. And people will talk about this next reveal season of like, yeah, the Nathria reveal season was a little weird. But in terms of weird reveal seasons and announcements over the past year, we've kind of explored this territory before, and this time at least didn't have some kind of like sickening allegation to weigh it down. It was just there's kind of a weird week where we don't have anything going on. But it's this is not going to be memorable in long term. Just right now, we're all jonesing for new cards, and then we don't have them. It's like, but I want it now. This is weird. Um, I don't think it's going to end up being a big thing in the grand scheme of things, but it's a little strange how the cadence was like a location a day, then a deluge of cards, and then all right, see you in a week and a half, and here's some patch notes to tide you over. A little odd.
I I I want to relate this to what they used to do for Magic Arena. Magic Arena is the digital version of Magic the Gathering, and they used to have the cards out like a week before you could physically go to a pre-release. So before like you could sit down and play with the cards and build in person, you had it a week online. So you were able to draft and do sealed events, and they didn't have any standard. You couldn't do constructed, but they had like a bunch of limited events. And so by the time people got to play in stores, they already knew what cards were good. They already knew what cards were bad. The decks were super streamlined, the limited decks anyway. And they ended up just stop doing that because a bunch of the community was like, hey, this is not fun, like having the streamers and everyone have access to these cards, and then by the time we go to play in person, that it loses that excitement. Like I don't want to go to like a pre-release if it's not like I'm getting the cards the first time. I get to see them, I get to see how they interact, you get to play with them. Like it's like once you already know, like it kills the hype. So they just took that away completely. And I feel like for this, like you're right, in the scheme of things, it's not going to matter because it's what, 8 days away now. But it's like it makes this current standard like not worth playing. Like for me, like I am probably not going to touch Hearthstone this entire 8 days. Like I'll play Battlegrounds here and there, but I'm over constructed. Like I have no desire to play.
Well, you've seen the future, like we all have.
Exactly. Yeah,
Unless
exactly.
you like didn't watch theory crafting, which you can. But it's just kind of odd. I would imagine they wouldn't want this kind of lull in future releases for that very reason.
But how many people were hankering to play last month, last week Voyage Standard anyways? If we the theory crafting in 3 days from now, would you be Jones like, I want to play some standard after this episode? I really want to get in there. There are some funky decks out there, right? And what I will say about the current environment is that you can kind of do whatever you want. A friend of mine came up with a list of a Renathal Quest Paladin because the air quotes win condition starts in your opener. And I played some. It was funny. It's a funny deck. And I almost won, but they got a Kazakhstan and like then I didn't. But it felt close because the power level of the format's pretty flat right now. But typically, month 4 of any standard, people are already looking for reasons to not play it. So this
Oh, no,
might
that's
be
fair.
one that we can look at, but I don't know how much interest was really there beforehand.
Yeah, to me, it's more of like
It does focus it.
I'm coming at it more from a marketing standpoint. Like that's why I use that word momentum, because like you're right. Yeah, like in terms of like your like to speak generally, a general desire to want to play standard at the very tail end of things. Hey, it really doesn't matter. We're all kind of typically over it by the end. But this is like there was the theory crafting can be, if it matches up well with the release date, this like final slew of hype or grumbles, because some people don't like theory crafting. We've talked about that to death. I'm not going to get into that now. But whatever, it could be this tool, this final push of excitement. Look at this new stuff, and then it ends. Then if just a day or two later it drops, then cool, you get to ride that wave. Whereas now that wave is just cut. So all we're left with is the fact is, hey, are we all done with standard? Yeah, we're all just kind of done with it, and then we don't have any real big, hype moments to rally around for the next week and a day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have they move the theory crafting back to the Thursday before the set release. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that again. I really liked that cadence. I'm a little biased because that was the first time we did the theory crafting, and also my deck tracker worked in theory crafting because we had the patch already. Loved that. Um, but yeah, it is a little strange just have a full 12-day period where we have patch notes on Monday, and that's kind of all we're expecting right now.
Yeah,
I
and,
don't know.
and they're pretty tame patch notes because again, it's like, well, what are you going to announce? We know the cards. Now we've seen the cards in action. If you're watching these streams, we know more about battlegrounds now and stuff. Before we get into that, yeah. My point is like whether you like theory crafting, or you don't like theory crafting. If it's going to exist and it's going to exist, timing it a little bit better, I'm sure, is something they're aware of. And so, yeah, it's not even so much a critique for me as I'm just like, I'm curious, kind of how it ended up like this. I'm sure it was not what they wanted. I'm sure it's not what like their intention. But yeah, it's just an interesting thing because I'm with you. Yes, I reaped the benefits of theory crafting on the last time around as well. But I think the timing, the way the whole thing was scheduled, it was just smoother and more cohesive last time around. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, they might just be trying something new, but I would guess that if they look at this, even if they did everything else the same date as this reveal season, even if they gave us the cards this past Thursday, just having the Theorycraft being the day before the Firesides, I think, is a better call because it'll sell them more packs. It's, hey, you like the decks you saw on the stream today? You can open them tomorrow, and then people will buy them.
Yep.
Just seems like a better.
And it feels more momentous, like a big release thing for all of us, to get out of the marketing side of things and just, making it an event. So, anyways, we did get the patch notes, and there's some interesting stuff in here. As a Battlegrounds player, I was curious what the hell was going on with the emotes, and now we know. We're getting like expansion-specific emotes coming to Battlegrounds.
Did you look at them?
Yes, they are fantastic.
There is a Watfin drinking tea, and I will buy the perks just for that one. And they throw in a bonus entire other expansion of perks.
I really like the Tombstone and the Sweaty Rafam.
Yeah, Sweaty Rafam. And like Surprised Imp is excellent. He's so surprised.
What I couldn't suss out in here is, can I micro choose which ones I want and which ones I don't? Like if I still want like Happy Murloc, but also some of these, can I mix and match?
Wait, you're going to get rid of Happy Cow?
It was an example.
Ooh, that's a good question.
It was an example.
Oh, you can't get rid of Happy Cow, man. Let's be honest. That's the best emote there is.
Second best.
I
understand the appeal
best.
for Happy Cow.
That is exclusively
Merwave.
emote.
Merwave is the best emote. Come on. I'm on Merwave.
Fair enough.
Garrett, are you a Happy Cow or a Merwaver?
Happy Cow is exclusively for tying.
Okay.
Merwave is usually my salty emote, and I usually use it for when I go up against someone who drafted the same shit I did, but better. That's usually when I'm Merwave.
See, I'm the opposite. I Merwave when I... I'm so toxic. I Merwave when we have the same comps, but mine's better, and I crush them. I'm like, see ya.
Oh, you are toxic. That's terrible.
Yeah, I'm that. Yeah, I'm that guy.
That I usually do the Sweaty Tauren because I feel bad. I'm just like, oh, I'm so sorry. Awkward. Oh, jeez.
This is the upside of the Bonjour Club. You get to make waves and hellos, whatever you want.
It's not a Tauren. Sorry.
Yes, sweaty panda. But yeah, it says you can equip over the base emotes. So I'm guessing you have 6 slots that are innately occupied by the 6
That's how I'm
base
hoping
emotes.
that works, but I could interpret that as you just the whole kit goes over the base emotes.
Wait,
we'll find out.
Is the top middle one is that Murloc Holmes?
That looks like some mech dude.
Yeah, he looks like a mech, but he got the same hat and like a magnifying glass. So I thought wouldn't that be him? I don't know. Either way,
It's a
Is that a
either way,
character?
some kind of
is
detective, but I don't know what kind of detective.
Watfin is for sure the best one of these.
Oh yeah.
No doubt about it. Just drinking his tea. No big deal.
Now I'm just going through really quick. Private Eye kind of looks like that, but it's an ogre, not a mech. I'm just saying, does that character pop up in any of the card art as I quickly go through? Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing there. But they look great. More of this, please. If down the road I just have a massive emote collection and I can really get in there, nitty gritty, and customize what ones I have, that's a nice boon to what I'm spending for the perks in Battlegrounds. I would like that.
Did you say random hero portrait?
No.
Yes.
Oh,
Chat did.
chat did. Okay, I thought you said that as if it was coming, like, because
It
I,
is. It
It
is
is
this
coming?
patch.
It is coming. I did not say it though.
Okay, would it be coming to standard too? Because that's the only thing I want
It
in
is.
standard. It is. Let's
It's
go,
coming.
dude.
It's
Let's go.
coming
I should probably
slightly
read these
later in
patch
the
notes,
news
huh?
section that we're in. No, you shouldn't. I want these
Yeah.
live reactions. Live reactions out of sequence. That is the angry chicken.
I'm a big fan of the random card back because I own so many. And like, yeah, I have my favorites, but being able to just have my entire collection going is awesome. I've always wanted that for heroes because I have my favorite hero portraits, but it'd be cool to like queue and be like, wait, what deck am I playing? I don't even know what this. Oh, okay, yeah, sick. Let's go. Like, I'm into that big time.
Embrace the random.
I
Love it.
don't do random card back, but yeah, I'm down for that. I'm down for that. More randomness is great. The thing I'm the most excited about, and was this even in the original thing or what? Because I just saw it about tweets. The holding down spacebar to open packs.
Oh,
Oh,
yep, that's in there.
I love that too.
It's down at the bottom. This is in. We're doing some upside down patch noting. But yeah, so there's multiple favorite random hero skins. You mark them like you set card backs, and then you can either do use favorites or use all from this class if you set random. Um, there's spacebar to continually open packs. It's gonna be slow when they first launch it. Like there's gonna be a delay between packs. Currently, it's I'm not gonna say intended, but they know about it, and there's going to be a hot fix after the expansion to speed it up. But right now, it's gonna be a little bit slower than spamming, but it still works. You just hold the spacebar down. Unclear how it goes in terms of pack order. Like if you're saving a pack at the top and you want to span open ones that are later, I don't know if that's gonna work. We'll find out. Um, yeah, and then also an important update: the returning player experience. So you know those quests, the free deck and the quest rewards that you get every 4 months. If you haven't logged in for 4 months and you log in, they give you something. It was once per account. I say was because now every time anyone is logged out for 120 days or more, those reset. So you can get a free deck every time in a quest line every time. But again, this is only if you're logged out for 4 months in a row, 120 days. So it's not like meaningful in terms of income to just stay logged out until you hit the timer and then get it. Just play the game. The rewards track gives you stuff. But if you end up leaving and coming back and then you do that again, then they will give you the rewards again.
That is a really great quality of life change.
Yeah.
My EU account looks forward to the decks, even though I just play BGs over there.
Well, you can either set the timer or just play more BGs.
Both?
Yeah, but no, you cannot. You cannot do both. You can play BGs in your America's account.
I mean, I could wait a while and then go back to play BGs.
I suppose so.
It's 120 plus days, so maybe I just go on a tear on my main account. I feel confident and have no reason whatsoever to go smurf over on my EU account until I figure out the BG meta.
Good luck, Garrett.
120 days of feeling confident in BGs sounds very nice. I would like to see that future.
Well, I'm confident that the new BG hero that they added is rad, so maybe that will help you maintain your streak.
You're talking about
Does he know who they added?
Todd Ragdle?
My boy Togwaggle. They finally put him in the game. Finally. Well, he was in solo content. Now he's in BGs. Soon he will be a rogue skin. My campaign to get Togwaggle, as my portrait in as many modes as possible, is bearing fruit.
So, want to talk about this hero power because it's pretty nutty.
I do.
So it's called the Perfect Crime, costs 9 gold, and it steals all minions in Bob's Tavern. Each turn, your hero power costs 1 less. And there's a nice little note here, dev comment, saying that at the end of each recruit phase, the cost of your next hero power will reduce by 1 automatically. Each time you use the hero power, its cost resets to the original 9 gold cost and starts the cycle over again. So you can wait for that sweet discount, but once you use it, it resets to 9 and you gotta wait again. But at that point, you'll be later in the game, and if you really just want to buy the whole damn store, you'll have the gold for it.
I can't wait for the curve sheet to figure out the ideal turn to use this, and I can't wait to misplay with it and use it a turn early in bottom or top 8, bottom or whatever the lingo is for losing immediately. I can't wait to do that with a bunch of cards in my hand.
That is such a cool hero power. Like being able to just get everything, because there's so many times that I'm like, you have to pick and choose what minion you want, but like I kind of want this, but it's not worth freezing for. And it's like I'm gonna tavern up next turn, so it's like there's no point. And then you just instead you just get everything and then you just sort it out. And then it goes back to 9. And then you're like, all right, in a couple turns, I'm gonna do this again. Really cool. I'm sure Hearthstone Battlegrounds pros are going to find a way to, like you said, find the right optimal curve for this, where there's leveling and stealing and rolling, and there's so much involved. There's so much math involved and all that stuff that it's really cool.
My gut tells me it's going to be kind of like when you play Millhouse and you just end up with a bunch of random stuff because everything's affordable. You just have this menagerie by proxy. It's going to be that, but it all happens at once instead of accruing over the course of the game. Unless, of course, you get lucky.
My theory is here that your job is to refresh your level 6 tavern the turn this costs 0. That is my guess here, that the turn you hit 10 gold, probably have a tavern with a level 6 tavern, because that has the maximum number of minions, and then hit the button, and then probably win.
Okay.
Because tier 6 is the one where it gives you that last extra minion. It's, what, 6 minions in the shop? So 0 gold gains 6 minions from a tier 6 tavern. That seems like where I want to be. So how do you survive while getting there is what I want to think about.
So it resets to 9 each time. So you could technically do this every single time. Every single round after 9 gold.
After 9 gold,
Right.
yeah. There's nothing stopping you from doing it every turn post turn 8.
That's pretty crazy. Because if there's the gambler, if there's 2 gamblers, you're like, okay, thanks for the free minions. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, there's theoretically free minions at the cost of any synergy rolling for every minion that's more than the third minion, right? Because it'd normally be 9 gold for 3 minions, and instead it's 9 gold for all of them. And you could sell some of them back, but you don't really get to pick what you're getting there. So you're brute forcing it instead of rolling. But that seems probably worth it at some point. I don't know. It's a really funky hero power. I wanna play Togwaggle. I wanna do that. It's in the game tomorrow. We get to do that if you have perks.
Do that. Also, you need to get lucky and find Togwaggle. Or a lucky Finley.
Hmm. Yeah. I believe that it has the increased offering rate for when he's first in the game, so someone in each lobby should have a chance at him. Which means if he's good, you might get to lose to him. That's almost as exciting.
He's a greedy little kobold, that guy.
Are you excited about dragon
Big
buffs?
kobold. Yeah, I mean,
Tier
Chroma
1
Wing is
dragon buffs?
kind of sort of a buff. Chroma Wing's a return to the pool. I don't know if I'd say it's a buff per se, but it's in the game instead of out of the game, so I suppose that's better.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, so Red Whelp got 1 attack.
Yeah.
Well-
One attack, but one. Oh no, it was a 1-2 before, right? It wasn't a 1-3.
Correct.
The 1-3 was the Chroma Wing, and it's now coming back. Instead of doubling your attack, it now says after you upgrade your tavern tier, gain +1/+1 for each friendly dragon, which is different.
Kind of.
Is it better or worse? It seems like it's a nerf, right?
I think it'll help the dragon comp, which struggles. But yeah, it's basically worse for everyone else that would abuse this in the way that it used to work.
It's a 1/1.
Yes.
I am not excited about this. It is a 1/1. I understand the theoretical scaling here. I'm gonna let other people figure that out because I don't want to buy this. Is this a nerf? It was part of a strategy so broken before they had to remove it, and now they're putting it back, and I don't want to buy it. It's a nerf.
But hey, your Red
I'm glad
Whelp
that strategy doesn't work anymore.
hits a little harder now.
It does. It can. It trades with a Silverback Patriarch now, whereas before it would lose that fight.
Mhm.
Awesome.
I like it. Sometimes you just get a free win from having the 1 damage.
Yeah.
Because they only have 1 minion, and if they have the 3/1 Quillbore and they don't use the gem, and then you're like, okay, thanks for the win.
There are worse minions to buy on turn 1, like evolving Chroma Wing.
Are we just pooping on Chroma Wing right now? Is that what we're doing?
It would be hard to do considering it can fly. It'd be really hard to pull off.
It's gonna poop on you, Garrett.
I'm more curious in the logistical aspect of that question than I am about do I want to buy Chroma Wing on 1, so we should probably just move on.
Oh, hold on. I forgot. I got pooped on by a chicken in Key West.
How did you forget that? How was that forgotten? That seems really notable.
I didn't think to mention it on the show called The Angry Chicken, but yeah. So I was just in Key West for a while, and a chicken pooped on me while I was eating dinner.
That is so meta right now. Someone has
What do you
to
have
clip
for dinner?
that. Were you eating chicken?
That's what I want to know.
Yes, I was.
Oh my god!
I was having a chicken burrito at a really good Mexican restaurant.
It's
it was
the circle of life.
So I'm gonna educate some folks who did not show up to this podcast to learn about Key West today, but Key West has wild chickens and they are protected. Key West chickens are protected by law. You're not allowed to mess with them or remove them from your property or harm them in any way. So we were eating outside at a Mexican restaurant that I absolutely love down there. And I was sitting under a tree. Guess where chickens like to hang out, especially when it's hot. Up in the tree. So yeah.
I love how our talk about crapping on this minion coming back at being nerfed turned into Garrett literally getting crapped on by a chicken.
You just described every podcast on Earth. Just complete. Yeah. Shouldn't have led to this, but here we are. Key West reacts to
never a
chicken
dull
abuse
moment.
like villagers.
Never a
in
dull
game
moment here.
I hope y'all learned something today. Don't sit under trees, I guess.
Check
while
the
you're
tree
eating.
before you eat.
Wouldn't have mattered. I didn't have a choice. Hey, Hat. How do you feel about these Mercs and Duels updates?
I feel like you want me to talk about them, and I'm gonna do it. So
You
there
are the
have been
resident
updates
player
to-
of those modes.
It's true. Yeah, the Mercs update. So I've been playing a little bit of Mercs, not PvP and PvE. a lot of the system change they made over the past 6-ish months or whatever have caught up to me, and I'm a fan of most of them. It's been enjoying myself. They made a lot of updates here. In addition to adding, Sir Finley's added to the mode, Cthulhu is added to a free task chain, but they took a look at a lot of the older mercs in the mode. There were a bunch of reworks here to mercs that were like original or added early on. Brightwing, Anacondra, Morgul, Guff. They work pretty functionally different now, including some pretty hefty upgrades where they originally designed these mercs that one equipment was clearly the way to go, but that restricted the options that you had. So they just took the damage that that equipment gave and just baked it into the ability and just made the mercs way, way better so they're actually competitive while doing a couple nudges here and there and some bug fixes that are effectively nerfs, like particularly to Trigor. It's a small change, but a significant one. So happy about that. There are 32 mercs that were changed in this update. I think it'll feel pretty significant. And duels, there's a really, really big upgrade that's a big deal to me. So the whenever they released a new hero, the treasures and abilities were locked. For Diablo or Drekthar or Vandar, it was behind various things you did in game. Do this X times, do that X times. Same for the League of Explorers, the Tombs of Terror heroes, except the unlocks also would carry over from the single player content that they put out back in Saviors. Now, all single player content wasn't free, you had to pay for it. It's still on sale. And there was a month long bug in June where the unlocks just didn't work. You couldn't unlock anything either in that system or in Duels itself. So they said, you know what? Fine. No unlocks forever for anything. So if you ever went into Duels and you're saying, hey, I want to do the cool new thing, then you click the hero and you couldn't do the thing, and then you left Duels, that experience is gone now. You will have access to every Duels treasure, every Duels hero power right away. No unlocks, just play. Real looking forward to it. I played less of the mode because I didn't want to do my homework to get to the cool stuff, and they took away the homework, so now it's just fun. In addition, as always with every pre-launch patch, the one place where you can play with the new cards is in Duels buckets. So if you start a Duels run tomorrow, you will get Nathria cards offered to you to play with. You can't build your deck with them, but in the buckets you'll see between games, you can pick Nathria cards. So you'll be able to play with them, be able to make achievement progress, be able to try out the new hero, Darius Crowley, who's brought over from Monster Hunt. And there are no unlocks, no nothing. You can just play. So there's also some balance changes, some nudges here and there, but I think it's a really, really nice change here that just makes it easier on everybody.
That
Duels
does
is
just sound better.
Yeah, Duels is
Yeah.
a fun mode. Like I've always said, like I like playing it and how like crazy the decks can get, and it's impossible for me to keep up with another meta to know like what powers they have and what this and that. But like every time I've played Duels, I've always left being like, this was fun. Like I lost I went 0-3, still fun, or I had a good run and had a good time. Like I like the mode, and it being completely unlocked is just more incentive to go over there and play. Like if I'm burnout on standard and not feeling battlegrounds, like go play Duels. Like that's amazing. Like I really like that, and the fact that you can that you can get the new cards, because back in my day, the only time you can get the new cards was when you did Arena. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but I used to play Arena a lot. And
GVG, the
yeah,
GVG reveal, it was a big deal where like that was the first full expansion we got, and they were like, they put the patch and they're like, hey, go look at Arena, and we could just draft the
yeah,
cards,
That
and it
it was
was the
awesome.
coolest thing.
it
It was
was the
awesome.
coolest thing. Why don't they do that?
They definitely should.
I was shouting
Be
this
fun.
after the second expansion released, and they didn't do that, and I'm still shouting that why not do that again? It was so cool. Like I don't know. I'm also super biased because back when I was really into Magic, I was really into Sealed, and so I got the most excited about pre-release Sealed Night, like those midnight Friday events. I loved those, and that's what that felt like. It felt like new set, go to the limited format where you get you get a taste. You get a taste of the new stuff to come. You get to play around with it before anyone knows what's great about it, and we're forcing you to put it in a weird deck that's imperfect. I loved it.
Yeah, same. I'm with you. I love that, and that's the only time play Paper Magic anymore is doing the pre-release events. Like after that, I just play online all the time. Like I love that the limited the limited card pool that you get, and having to draft it is even better than a sealed. Like I like sealed, but having like randomly getting offered like a random new card, you're like, oh, like this is probably the wrong pick, but I want to play this new card, so I'm gonna draft it.
Just want to play with it.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's that was so cool. How'd you come on chat room? Where was this? Saying people were asking about if there was a tech issue preventing it, and Dev said it could work and should return soon if they decide to. Was that like an XR AMA or something?
Sounds Celestalani.
We can come back to that if we get a link.
Yeah.
God, thank you.
Yeah, if you get a link, then share that.
I haven't thought about
But
that.
yeah, I pinged Matt London because I want to know.
That was so cool. I was so hyped about that when I originally had. God, that is old now. My God.
Yeah,
2014-ish.
I'm a Hearthstone boomer, man, just like you. We're a bunch of boomers here chatting about
the
cards.
The boomer chicken. Here we are.
December 8th, 2014.
Wow, that's when the game came out.
That's when Goblins vs. Gnomes came out.
Oh, true.
All right.
So we covered most of the patch notes, but I'm curious. I don't even know if this is in the show notes, so sorry if I'm just going off track here, but I'm very interested to know, what was your favorite deck, not best performing. What was your favorite deck that you made, that you played for theory crafting? Personal. And I know that it's a little different because you have to use a certain number of cards and you probably would have built it differently had you could have, but what was your favorite deck of the day?
So my first question to you in response is, are you apologizing for going off track when Garrett described how he was shit on by a chicken? Is that
You
what's
know what?
happening right now?
You, my friend, are on 65 podcasts. I'm a guest on one of them on occasion. So I feel like when I derail stuff, it's new territory for me and I shouldn't be doing that. So I'm trying to get my podcasting chops here. So you'll have to forgive me on that. But yes,
Okay.
I did ask for forgiveness for that.
The important thing about getting your podcasting chops, stop caring when you derail, because you have to assume, if you were a serial podcaster, you have to assume that your personality is so sparkling that people tune in for it. It can't possibly be the content. It must be you. That's the only way to get by in this business. To answer your question, favorite deck I played, I had a lot of fun with a lot of different classes. Probably Enrage Warrior, because I high rolled every game I play with it, and it was awesome to draw a little Rokar and Imbued Axe. Imbued Axe is a 3-mana 2/3 weapon, warrior weapon. When you swing with this, give your damage minions +1/+1. If you've infused 3 before you play, it's actually +2/+2. Snowballs out of control really fast. But also I drew little Rokara against 2/2s multiple times. So I attacked on turn 4 with a 15/4 Frothing Berserker. And
Yeah.
like I cat. Just cat.
Dexter won't leave me alone because he hasn't seen me for a while. So I'm just going to love my cat while we have this conversation. Is that okay?
It's you scritch him behind the ears for me. Thank you.
Okay.
That's from Uncle Hat, Dexter. That's from me. So, Edelweiss built the list. She said she wanted to make these old cards work the Cruel Taskmaster, Acolyte of Pain, Frothing Berserker. So I called it 2014 Warrior, and I destroyed people with it. A lot of fun. But there were so many decks that I had a good time with. I played a rogue that made 2 stealth 5/5s by turn 5 from the location. That was pretty good. Killed opponent fairly fast. Wild Seed Hunter was really fun. Just trying to think from each class. I didn't find a working Relic Demon Hunter list, but I know there is one, and I want to do that because the Relic of Skull of Gul'dan is really powerful. Let's see. Skeleton Mage was pretty fun. Silence Priest and Buff Priest was very fun. I only played one Paladin game. It was pure Paladin. I invitationed into both a Murozond and a Glug, and I won that game. So I enjoyed Paladin. Uh, oh yeah, and all the Warlock decks are busted as hell because Impending Catastrophe is the best card in the set. That's the 2 mana epic spell. Draw a card, then draw another one for each imp you control. I lost to Stealer of Souls
What?
Warlock. I lost to Stealer of Souls Warlock. Demon Seed, Stealer of Souls, Fiendish Circle, 0 mana, Impending Catastrophe. Finished the entire quest in 1 turn. It only happened 1 time, then I borrowed the deck and it made my head hurt when I played it, and I screwed up 1 game and immediately missed lethal. And I played another version later and then found lethal eventually, even though I'm pretty sure I misplayed every single turn of the game.
Where are all the imps coming from? Because I breezed past Warlock and I was like, oh, look, Rafam's got imps. And where are all these coming from that
It's
are causing Impending Catastrophe to be ridiculous?
Fiendish Circle, Wicked Shipment, Imp
Mm.
Swarm, Mischievous Imp, Flame Imp's just 1 imp, but you know, it's pretty good. Bloodbound Imp is an imp, but he's pretty good. Uh there's just a lot of ways to do that, but also in the combo-y decks, you play like 4 cards that make 2 imps for not a lot of mana, and then you draw 3+, and you're kind of cool. You're kind of all right with that. But in Imp Zoo, I think the least I saw Impending Catastrophe draw was 4, and that was kind of a low roll for them. I played against Dexter twice, and on turn 5, he drew 6 cards 2 games in a row with 1 spell. So, Imp Zoo's gonna be a thing that we hear about on the first day. And by we hear about, I mean, like, in our Angry Chicken podcast host group chat. I'm
And
gonna hear about it from the other 2 hosts.
probably in our Angry Chicken patron Discord as well. And probably to tweets to @TAC Podcast. Maybe one of them will be from @VigilSC.
I'll take
Very well
engagement.
could be. Very well could be. I have a question for you, Hat. Are you tapped into Wild at all?
A little bit. Not a lot of it, but a little bit.
Do you think I think I saw Zeddy mention something about this, but do you think that the Malchazar's Imp Tome Tampering combo is broken for Wild?
Have you seen what's happening wild these days?
Yeah.
It's
I don't play Wild too often, but I play degenerate stuff, but I feel like this is kind of scary.
I think Mechathune Warlock is already equally this fast without needing to discard their hand. Um, you can, if you want to self fatigue in that format, you can do that without worrying about it too much. And I mean, I played a game the other day. I am not high MMR in Wild at all. But I played a game with a some kind of, I forget what the druid was trying to do. I think it was actually Cthulhu Druid, the new Cthulhu the Shattered. Right, because this was the game where my turn 10 was I had 20 men and I played 2 Cthulhu's the Shattered. I remembered that. It was that game where I just did Floop Skloop, and then I think it was Scale of Onyxia on the same turn, and then just had all the mana in the universe on turn 6. You can do, like, Questmate's taking so many turns in a row. Shutterwalk is freezing your entire board and duplicating itself and loathing and whatever. I think this is probably something that they consider discussing in Wild, which means it's probably the appropriate power level to put into the format now. To be competitive in current Wild, you have to be a little spooky, if not really spooky. And this seems like a format, or it seems like a thing that like you could work hard for and get something out of it, but current Warlock already draws a lot really quickly and plays a bunch of giants and then disrupts you. I'd be curious to see how this lands, but I don't think it's unhealthy, at least not by the standards of the format as we have it right now.
Yeah, fair enough. I just wanted to know if it was worth a concern. I play a bit of Wild, not enough to know anything about the meta. I'm like the lowest rank possible. I just dip my toes in and I'm like, oh yeah, these cards are fun. I'm out of here.
Did you
The best Wild to play is not highly competitive Wild. It's whatever you want to play Wild. Love that format.
Hmm. Did you?
so before I left, you, Joss, and I were all kind of stoked about the weirdness that looked like volatile skeleton mage. Did you mess with that at all?
I did. It was fun. I played a bunch of mirrors, but the thing that I was missing that makes something in this ballpark work, Frozen Touch, 2 mana spell, deal 3 damage, frost spell, infuse 3, add a Frozen Touch back to your hand. Every single game I played with Mage, this card did 9 to 12 damage. It just was permanently infused, and you would just fire it off and then go about your business. Having one card that deals 9 to 12 damage, pretty good, pretty all right. So it was so easy to infuse. There was a list I was playing. Pilot 712 gave me a list because I did what I did last time. Is I just tweeted like, "Hey, tweet me your lists. Send me your list in Discord," and I got some. So Pilot built a frost only, a mono frost mage. So Frostweave Dungeoneer would always make the 1/1s, and so my Frozen Touches infused instantly, and then I just got to fire them off over the course of the game. So I think it's a really, really fun deck. And I imagine it'll be popular on day one and won't be oppressive, but people will play it and do all right with it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm happy to hear it is as fun as it looked.
I have a two-part question for you, Hat. One, did you see any or did you play any Evolve Shaman? And is it something to worry about?
I did both. So Shaman with cards that evolve things in it, I think will be solid. Full Evolve Shaman, I found very mid. I thought it was okay, but I didn't see any crazy early game scams. The part about Evolve that I hated was turn 3 Mogu Mutate. I got punished for playing into it, and now it's turn 3 and I have to deal with an Alakir and I probably can't and I lose the game. I didn't see anything close to that. Now, it doesn't mean it won't happen. There are still high rolls that are possible. But the one time my opponent muck pools to Goldshire Knoll, they rolled another Goldshire Knoll. It wasn't so bad because there are only 6 10-minute minions they can roll. It's very important to note you cannot evolve into a Colossal. You cannot. They are explicitly disallowed. So there will never be a point where there is a surprise Glug. At least not that kind of surprise. You won't just evolve into randomly there's a Hydrolodon or a Glug or a Krabito or whatever. It's not possible. It's explicitly disallowed. So the 10 mana pool, it's solid, but it's not quite as super scammy as you remember Mogi Mutate to be. That's not what I'm worried the most about. I'm worried more about Warlock getting a really, really powerful class set, including the best draw spell they printed in a long time. I'm worried about Druid being Druidy, because they also got some pretty powerful scammy stuff. If they can survive, their late game is also quite powerful.
Any closing thoughts on Hat's time with the theory crafting?
It was fun. I want to play.
But you can in 8 days. You can play all you want.
I want to play now. I don't want to wait a Hanukkah.
You don't want to wait 8 crazy nights?
It's, the nights will be not crazy. They'll be normal nights because I don't have Nathria cards.
Americans really will use any unit of measurement besides metric.
What is the metric measurement for 8 days? It's not a rhetorical question. I want to know.
Right in at TAC Podcast. Well, dudes, I really don't know why we bothered talking to Hat about what he thinks will and will not be good when Murder at Castle Nathria comes out, because, the game's rigged anyway. What does it matter?
So, this discussion, it came up again on Twitter today.
Again?
Half of me actively despise it because it will not die, and people only use this argument, this theory. They only lean into this when they're losing. Because the thing about rigged matchmaking is someone has to get the favorable. It has to be rigged in favor of someone. And no one ever wins 4 games in a row. It's like, wow, the system really took care of me. No, I won because I'm good, and I lose because the system screwed me. It's never anyone's like, I won 4 games in a row. Oh, it's just Hearthstone trying to make me win more. No one has ever said that. But on the other hand, it is very funny to see how people rationalize exactly how the system cheats when it super doesn't. But every single developer that commented on this thread was, I guess, exasperated is the kind of word I'd use. Every single one,
That's
like the
definitely the most polite word to use.
yeah.
Maybe not the realest word to use, but definitely the most polite.
But yeah, the thing that has come up for years and years, and there was a YouTube video about this a while ago that got some traction. There was a patent in 2015, an exploratory research patent by Activision about matchmaking based on purchasable items. It's from a different company for Call of Duty. They also explicitly said they didn't end up implementing it. And there are responses from multiple devs in this thread. But the one that I'd like to quote here is from Celestalon, friend of the show, friend of us all. This has been brought up numerous times in the past. It has never been true, full stop. If you were looking at that tweet or listening to it and thinking that it is in some way ambiguous and there's still a possibility, no, there isn't. There is not. But some people will say that, and it is very funny.
I think I think that the feeling of Hearthstone being a full digital game with a fair amount of randomness, when these things, when you get the worst outcome multiple times in a row, it feels like that sometimes. It's definitely not like, you know, like it's like gambling. Like if you go and play XYZ game, like there's statistics and there's odds. Like you're gonna fail this number of times, but you're gonna succeed this number of times. But it's like if someone goes on a hot streak, they just keep winning. Or if someone goes on a super cold streak, they just keep losing despite the number, despite the odds, despite the percentages. So it feels like that a lot. Like for me, what makes it feel like that is when I play against Prester Druid, and they always have a 1 mana Alex Raza. Every single time, without fail, they just chain Alex Razas. And I'm like, this is insane. Please stop killing me with Alex Raza. It happens all the time. And sometimes I'm like, is this game rigged? Even though I know it's really not. That's just the luck of the draw. That's what makes this game so compelling is the ability to do these things and to have a card like Presser that's totally random, even though I genuinely despise that deck and I hate it, but that feeling is very real. It's a real feeling, but there's no validity to that. There's no like, oh yes, the game's rigged against me so that all of my opponents every single time play Presser on 6 and they get these crazy dragons every single time. That's how it works. Like it doesn't, because you remember those times, but you don't remember the times they play like a 1/2 sleepy dragon, or they play like a 3/4 whatever dragon that does nothing. Like you
It's
don't remember
it's
those
it's
times,
so
but you remember the times that you got beat by crazy stuff.
it's so specific too. Like what you described, like how like what oh we're gonna get Vigil with that 1 mana Alex Straza.
Yeah, they're gonna
You're
code that into me
conditioned.
where they just chain these Alex Strazas. Clearly Blizzard's against me, and they coded the game, against Vigil, whatever my hashtag is. He's gonna lose to Alex Straza every time he plays against Presser Druid.
Yeah.
Did they
Like,
ever play a Moonlit Guidance before that? Because they probably don't pick the Sleepy Dragon. They probably pick the Alex.
they probably do, and they probably play two.
Yeah.
That's how they get 2 in a row.
Yeah, well, and the only way that deck really wins, the reason it is built, is to maximize the chances of finding a Kazakusan. So then if you get salty that they found one, they added 10 crappy cards to their deck specifically to do that in a small dragon pool, and then they play Aquatic Form and Moonlit Guidance and Composting to go get it, and they leave the rest of the crappy dragons in their hand because that every card they're holding at the end of the game is a whiff. All of them. So you can count the number of cards in their hand, which is usually around 9. Those are the not Kazakhstans. Those are the whiffs.
I mean,
But yeah,
back to my point. I understand the feeling, but there's no validity to that. You know what I mean? It's a card. It's inherently a card game. I mean, it's a card game, so it's inherently random with what you can draw, how you do things. But then on top of that, it's a digital card game, so they're able to do these things, to have these. Like I was saying, presser was just the first thing I could think about. But there's all kinds of random stuff in there, and it takes the stars to align to have something happen. And when that happens to you, you're like, this is rigged, because all of this stuff happened at once that under every other circumstance would never happen, but it happened to me. So this game clearly is against me. Like, that's not true. It's just, it's a game with random on top of random sometimes. And that's what will happen. But that also keeps the game fun and interesting and different. Like, like that you could play against the same deck, and it could be crazy kooky stuff, and it's fun. Or you get steamrolled, or you could steamroll them. Like, it's like that's the game.
Yeah, every time, like, I'm with you. I've experienced that feeling, but like every time I can think of where I've experienced that feeling, it's like I've swapped decks, and usually that experience goes away. Of like instead of how do they always have the thing against me? For me, it's usually how do I always miss the thing I need, kind of thing. Like going all the way back, I always go back to the mech mage example, especially when Joce is here to corroborate what she saw with her own eyes, which was my terrible luck with original mech mage. It's like as soon as I left that deck, I went to what at the time I think was mid-range paladin, and I was great. I was climbing, life was good. As soon as I swapped off that deck, I just got unlucky. If it really was rigged, I would have kept losing, right? If it was rigged against me on another deck.
no, the algorithm figured out in 2014. All right, Garrett's already fully invested his belief in the system. We can move on to somebody else, because the algorithm only does one person at a time. So some days it's just your day.
All right,
Listeners, please note I'm making this up as we go. This is not a true thing.
I don't think anyone was making that claim. But yeah, anyway.
So someone's gonna come back. Someone's gonna come back. There's always a truther. There's always a truther.
This is absurd. The only joy is the wrong word, but the only thing I found interesting about this was the human reaction from Hearthstone developers that felt the need to step in. That to me was the interesting part of all of this. Is just like, oh, if I was a person that worked on this game, this would really infuriate me. Just seeing how they all dealt with it in their own way.
The original tweet asked, "Is this a rabbit hole worth exploring?" And Ixar had a one-word response: "No."
I will say I didn't know about that patent, and it is interesting, and it sounds exactly like the type of evil bull that Activision would patent. But
They never used it, by the way.
That's not, yeah.
They said that, like, we didn't even use it. But it does sound very Call of Duty-ish. Like, I don't know much about Call of Duty, but I wouldn't be surprised if you bought a gun, you got paired against people who didn't have it, and then they went and bought the gun.
Don't you just buy skins in that game? Do you buy actual guns?
You were asking the wrong people.
I do play Call of Duty, and not to my knowledge, it's just skins, man.
Yeah, then how? Then what would? So
I mean, back then I don't know. I got really hardcore
skins?
into Warzone during COVID, which then got me back into Call of Duty Deathmatch. And it was just skins. It was just skins. So I don't know.
It'd be like playing Battlegrounds against people who have other Battlegrounds cosmetics, not MMR. Like you're playing against
like
people who have pretty boards too. Like,
what would even the point be? And like, it's not a hot thing anymore, but like way back in the day, all of those challenges of like free to play to legend, all the YouTubers and Twitch streamers that did that kind of stuff. Like, I guess they got on the velvet rope, not rigged list where the game was fair to them.
Must be nice to be on that list, man.
Yeah, the one that doesn't exist, I know. It's It's weird stuff. Shall we take a question before we wrap this up?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com, or if you're supporting us on Patreon, you can skip the inbox entirely and write us a question in the Patreon Discord. We have a dedicated channel just for that. Or if you want to ask Vigil a question, hit him up on Twitter @VigilSC. You can do that. I keep thinking your hat is a Tampa Bay Lightning, and I know that's wrong.
No, it's a Dodgers practice spring training hat.
It's you're very small on my screen right now, and I'm like, why is Vigil wearing a Tampa hat?
No, I would not wear a Tampa Bay.
I figured as much. But Fade to Black wrote in, I believe this came from the Patreon Discord, and said, if you have time for questions, do you stay engaged with Hearthstone during this time of the meta, or do you just play other games? And I'm assuming the implication here of this time in the meta is during this kind of figured out, played out meta.
So I wouldn't call where we're at with Voyage as figured out, because after they put Renathal, people just took a look at what was going on. They're like, screw that, I'm going to do what I want. People are doing whatever they want. You can do anything. I net decked an aggro Shadow Priest list, and I played it. It was okay. Casey tweeted yesterday, like, he's a Grandmaster. He's like, ladder right now does not matter for qualifying for anything. So he was playing Renathal Naga Mage. That deck isn't a deck. He was playing it anyways. Whatever, who cares? You can kind of do whatever you want right now. But I cannot think of very many 4th month standard formats where I was like, yeah, let's jam some games. Maybe the most recent was Dark Moon Races, the end of Dark Moon Fair, because the beginning of Dark Moon Fair was pretty not great. So it didn't the expansion was basically the last 2 months, not the first 2 months. But during month 4s, my favorite month 4 is usually right before rotation, because that feels like summer vacation before going back to school and seeing all your friends again. You go and do whatever, and then you all come back and tell each other what you did, and then you all have the same stuff in common again when you start taking class, when the set comes out. Love that. But yeah, I mean, this time, I'm playing a good bit of Marvel Snap. I'm snapping it, doing a little snapping. They had some controversy the other day. That's not for this podcast, but there was some
Oh boy,
controversy.
howdy.
There's some stuff.
I tried
There's
reading
some
up
stuff
on
going down.
I tried reading up on that, and it was so confusing that I just walked away going, "Yeah, that is sus." I was cross-eyed.
Yeah, they made multiple mistakes, and then Ben Brode came into the Discord the next day. I was like, "Yeah, we made a bunch of huge mistakes." Okay, it's like the
I
Brode
got
told us that they messed up.
seeing a "We hear you" message from Ben Brode hurt. I'm like, "Oh no, you too."
Yeah.
We hear you is the most empty line you can write in anything involving games. When it comes to messaging in gaming, I've heard that enough times.
Yeah, but I do believe that they heard us, because also in the official Discord they were like, "Hey, shipping it this way was a massive mistake." Like explicitly said that. I'm not paraphrasing. That's what he said. By the way, gameplay is fun. Whatever. I'm not spending any money on it right now. But there are plenty other games out there. But I'm still clearing my quests, doing a little bit, dabbling in the other modes. I'm actually excited to play some duels tomorrow. No unlocks are really, really big deal to me, and we get to play with the new cards. But am I playing a lot of standard right now? Absolutely not. I'm clearing most of my quests in wild because I want to. But I did get standard legend this month. Um, it's just I played Quest Rogue of all things because I wanted to. Because it doesn't really matter what you play in Voyage Standard as long as you like it and you know what you're doing.
I do both depending
Yeah,
on my mood. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Vigil.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I mean, it's like anything. Like when a new set comes out, it's like when a new game comes out. It's exciting, it's fun, you want to play it, and then you get to the end game and you beat the game, and it's like, all right, like should I fire it up? Should I keep playing it? Like, now that I've done what I want to do in the game, like I don't know. That's for each person to decide, but for me, I'll still play standard here and there, and I think for me this last um getting to legend, I've been legend, I don't know, a dozen or so times, but this one was particularly daunting. Like it felt, this one felt more like a chore than any of the other times I got to legend. And I think that is just because of, yeah, this time in the meta, because like I said, it's not solved because you're seeing new stuff all the time, but it's really, I don't know, it's not as fun as it is when the cards first release. Like it's not new, it's not exciting, it's not what it is. So for me, like if I'm gonna play Hearthstone, I'm the majority of my time I'm gonna play Battlegrounds. Just because I enjoy that mode, and I think that it's something I can do where it's low stress and I don't have to think about it too much, and I don't have to super pay attention. So I don't stay engaged in the meta other than having a stream or two up when I'm on my computer doing other stuff. Like I'll have, you know, a streamer up and this is people are playing this now. Cool. This is stick seems like it's fun. Da 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 da. And I'll just, you know, keep doing my stuff. So personally, I'm not engaged in the meta like I am like when this, you know, the first month or two of the set. Um, I mean, I just know from, like I said, from streams and stuff. So it's it is harder to stay engaged, but there's so many modes in Hearthstone you can do that are fun. Like I highly recommend, you know, playing Battlegrounds at this time, and like Hat said, Duels is now going to be totally unlocked and fun to play. Like I'm definitely gonna check out Duels when standard gets bored and tiring.
Yeah, I jump around. I leave right now. This time around, I'm still playing Battlegrounds, and even that is figured out and kind of boring, if I'm being honest. But I'm more in the mood for that than I am for Standard's brand of figured out. If that makes any sense. Just I don't really like that game, and I imagine if you feel that way about Standard Hearthstone, that's what you do. If you're just like, man, I just like Standard Hearthstone. There's nothing wrong with continuing to play it. There's also nothing wrong with taking a damn break when you need it. A lot of times, I'm usually checking out other games right now, but I also usually play more than one game at a time. So, you know,
I've been doing some Hades runs. Game's
yeah,
so good.
I've been
Game's so good.
progressing through Final Fantasy 14 since last December. Haven't stopped. Still working my way through there. That is happening in the background the whole time. Was playing Heroes of the Storm. It's dead now, by the way. So haven't played much yet.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I probably played the most Heroes games the day after that announcement came down. I played a lot of Heroes that day. It's fun.
But since then, you've come out of the Nexus.
Well, since then I took a break and went to the Keys and murdered a podcast. You know, things you got to do.
Rescued some baby turtles.
I did
Circle
rescue
of
some
Life.
baby. I got a lot of weird stories. Y'all want to hear it? Right before today's show, we found 13 baby turtles stranded in our backyard. Tiny little, what are they? Red ear? What's like the common Florida turtle? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah.
Neither of us are Floridian.
We
You're
saved them.
Asking... yeah.
They have been relocated to the tiny little swamp that is in our neighborhood. We put them in some thick brush because I saw birds around. And I was like, here, this will give you the greatest advantage. So, hope they're all right. It's been a weird one. But yeah, no, usually I just go play other games. Go spread my wings, check out other auto battlers, check out other card games. Twice, there's two very specific times where I can remember I went over to Magic Arena. I was like, hey, I forgot how much I love this game. Because I was really burnt out on Hearthstone. So sometimes like it's exactly what I need, and you know maybe it leads to a longer break from Hearthstone than I expected. Other times it makes me like Hearthstone more. Like what the hell was the Riot card game?
Runeterra?
There you go. I played that and I
that.
was like, boy, howdy. I hate everything about this game, and it just made me go right back to Hearthstone.
Yeah. It's not your... I feel real
It
confident
is-
that's not your
It is my
jam.
least favorite
It is-
parts of Hearthstone and Magic. I just would rather play either Hearthstone or Magic. Like
It's keyword soup. Yeah. I really like the single player mode in that game. It's free and it's great and it's a roguelike, so obviously. But it is a small audience for a reason.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever. I'm not saying it's inherently bad. I'm saying like that for me, I was like, whoa, no, not for me. Going back to Hearthstone. So there's the same thing with that Artifact game when that came out, but I think I was not alone in that because no
You were
one played
definitely
it.
not.
No one played
No.
it. Yeah.
No, Artifact was not was a big flop.
I distinctly remember playing like 4 games of Gwent, being like, I'm out. I'm here. So
Gwent was great on Witcher 3. In the game Witcher 3, the Gwent in that game was awesome, and I played some beta Gwent, it was alright. But the best version I maintain is the single player one inside of Witcher 3. That's my favorite one because it's not balanced because it's not trying to be. It's a player versus computer game.
I just remember the non-Witcher 3 Gwent being the first game to buy players away from Hearthstone. And I was just like, it's skeezy.
If we're talking about an in-game card game, I got a story that will be for Garrett. So,
Is it about Triple Triad?
it is about Triple Triad. So
I knew it.
I played Final Fantasy VIII growing up a lot, and I loved Triple Triad. And then I played Final Fantasy 14 when it came out for like a little bit. I don't play MMOs anymore. It's just not my jam. But my buddy was like, "Yo, they have the Golden Saucer, and you can play Triple Triad." And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Final Fantasy 7 and 8? There's that's not real." And he's like, "No, seriously, you can go and challenge people in Triple Triad at the Golden Saucer." And I'm like, "I have to do this." So I literally got an account, played for a month, just grinded as fast as I could to get to Golden Saucer to unlock Triple Triad to be playing against other people. Like, so I got a Final Fantasy subscription just to play Triple Triad. That's how much I loved it.
So first of all, my buddy Kyle used to be on the Hero of the Show with me, and we're launching a new show this Thursday. Haven't announced it yet, but launching a new podcast this Thursday, everybody.
You just did.
We're warping.
Congrats.
Well, no, we
announced it.
mentioned that we're doing it. We haven't named it yet. We know what we're naming it. I haven't announced the name of it. Anyway, it didn't mean to promote it here, but it's going to be the
Let's
old.
talk about Final Fantasy.
No, there will be Final Fantasy talk, but no.
I want a shirt.
I do.
That's so non-specific. What are people going to start talking? What if it's like one you never played? There's so many.
Garrett, finish your story.
All right. Anyway, it's going to be on the. We're just rebranding the Instant Access feed. So if you're on the ITN feed, just stay there. Stay parked there. We're revamping it as a new show. But he got really into Triple Triad because we're doing the Grinding Gear Final Fantasy 14 YouTube content right now, and he got super into it. He's loving it. So you're not alone. I also just learned that there are entire communities of people that have a Final Fantasy 14 account just to play its version of Mahjong because it has in-game Mahjong, and people are obsessed with it. So that you're not alone, Vigil.
I thought it was weird, but I'm glad that I'm not the only weirdo out there playing a MMO just to play a card game within the MMO.
I ran into a classmate of mine from college that I have not talked to since graduation. Ran into her in game in Final Fantasy, and I'm pretty sure she was joking, but kind of think she was serious. That she basically just plays the game to collect clothes in game and put together outfits because what they call the glamour system in that game is ridiculous. So, any MMO has hyper specific reasons that people might be playing it.
Side note, one more little tiny derailment. I have a question for you. Is Marvel
boy.
Snap only Android?
There is iOS as well. I know the microtransactions were weird for a bit, but I think they fixed that. So it's now closed beta invite only. And also Philippines, New Zealand, Australia. There are people that have tried to get it by either region swapping their iPhones or sideloading an APK on Android. If you sideload an APK on Android, I know that you can't buy anything because it's got super strict region locking. If you swap regions in iOS, I know some people have actually successfully spent money on it. I don't know how that works. I got invited. Happy about that.
Same.
And yeah, and now there's controversy with capital C, but I think it's I'm still playing without spending money. I have faith that the devs honestly made a mistake here because it doesn't make any sense that people with this kind of experience would make a decision so unethically evil that they would have every single influencer in their game make a video about how predatory their game is, and they'd be like, "Yeah, this is what we wanted." I assume it was a massive mistake. That's what I'm assuming. They could prove me wrong, which is why I'm not spending any money on it anymore right now. I spent some money before. I did it. I'm not going to spend any more right now. But the gameplay is low friction. The games are 3 to 4 minutes. It's about what I want to do. I can sneak in games a lot more easily when I'm out and about. It's portrait mode, which is a huge deal when you're using one hand while walking down a New York City block. Not to say that I play while walking, but I'm gonna say I'm sorry for whoever I almost ran into
Boy,
today.
that sounds so
Um,
dangerous in New York.
it's probably not great, but I'm alive now, so consequences haven't come home yet. Anyways, it's really convenient, and I do think there's depth to the gameplay. The biggest issue is that their mistake with monetization was so bad. It wasn't just I'm not going to buy this, but it was can I support the developer that will make this kind of decision? It was that level of terrible. And
It,
luckily, so far they came out and said everything about what we did was wrong, which is the right first step, but we have to see, how that follows through because it's entirely possible that they just aimed really high to see if people would accept it. I don't think that's the case because they aimed so high here and the language was so misleading that it was either a mistake or purely evil, and I don't believe it was purely evil.
I don't know anything about the controversy, but is it anything like how Diablo Immortal has been received? Because I know that people are freaking out about that too. Because like someone apparently, I don't know if this is true, but somebody spent like $20,000 in game and only got like one of the gems that they needed or wanted or something. I don't know. I don't play the game.
I mean, it's a completely different system, but it's definitely a similar, I would say, emotion from the people that are mad about it.
Yeah, Immortal had the problem of being exactly what it seemed like it was, which is the end game is hugely pay to win. I don't believe that Snap is pay to win, but they added a monetization system called a Nexus event that is actually just a bunch of loot boxes with misleading wording on the Nexus event screen about what you're going to get if you spend X amount, that it looks like it's referring to cards but it's actually referring to cosmetics. So that's the part that really rubbed people the wrong way. That's also the part that was explicitly said uh, that is a problem. Like, the devs that make the game were like, "We that should never have shipped." So, I want to believe them. I have to wait to see if I can. I'm pretty sure I can. I want to believe them, but Immortal was about the game being exactly what it looked like, and Snap was an issue about people being surprised by what the game turned into, and I think those are 2 different circumstances, but the level of blowback has been pretty similar, though Second Dinner doesn't have also multiple lawsuits against them right now.
Okay, well, we need the new expansion to come out so we can talk about that instead of other stuff.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I am. I actually enjoy Snap,
What?
but all of the other like Blizzard mobile games, I'm just like, I don't want to talk about mobile games. Don't make me.
So I leave for tour tomorrow, so I'm going to be gone. But does TAC have a plan for show release? Because isn't it coming out
Yeah,
before a show or something?
We will be waiting
Garrett,
to
can hold
record.
on a second. Garrett, can we appreciate you haven't been here the past 2 weeks. Vigil is the best seguer I have ever had on Angry Chicken. He's
I'm
so good at this.
I'm trying to give, like I said, I'm trying to give people the content that they are here for, they're paying for.
It's
Being a
I
patron
can tell you
myself,
that
I know what it's like to want to know. I want to know.
I can say for sure that your skill at segues is not typical podcasting content. Most podcasts just like smash cut to whatever else we want to talk about, or we talk about Garrett getting shit on by a chicken in a tree, like just because we want to.
So yeah, is there a plan? Are you going to let people know on Patreon, on Twitter, or do you guys
I
have
can
it made up yet?
I can tell you right now. The plan is to
Let's hear it.
record Wednesday night instead of Monday night next
Mm.
week.
Okay, so the day after the set instead of the day before the set.
Yes. So we have
That makes sense.
experience
That makes perfect
with
sense.
the expansion in the live game to talk about, as opposed to like today, which is, well, I guess we're done with the hype, huh? Guess we're giving a dragon one attack in Battlegrounds.
Well, I, for one, will be downloading the podcast because that's the best way to support, correct?
I mean,
Sure.
define support.
Well, yes,
Listen.
obviously the
We are-
Patreon's the best way to support, but I know podcasts are more about downloading than streaming, right? Is that I was told. I don't know if
We're
that's
both
true.
we're pro download. If you'd like to download the podcast, we're never going to say no, and we're always going to say yes. I download the podcast. I'll listen back to a little bit on occasion. I usually don't, but I have auto download set up. Downloads help because they give us an idea of how many of you out there are engaging with the content. Streaming is nice because we like talking to you over in chat, which is over in this monitor right over here. Patreon support is also really nice because that directly supports the streamers and podcasters that you know and love. Like Garrett and his new show that is going to start on Thursday. And like me, who has other shows. And like Joce, who is Glitter and Sparkles and also is a talented podcaster. You know. So it's however you choose to support us. We're just glad that you're hearing the words right now. We're glad that you're listening. And Vigil, thank you so much for being here for a few weeks to be our resident, vocalist.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, guys. And before we end it, I want to personally say thank you to the patrons as well, because Angry Chicken pays their guests. I've gotten paid multiple times from you guys, and that's because the patrons come and support however much they support, whether it's $1 or 25 or 50, 100, whatever you guys decide. It does help the podcasters and helps the guests too. So thank you.
Well, that was extremely kind, man. So I'm gonna throw to you because it feels right now. Where can folks find you for your gaming related stuff, and then I'm gonna ask you about your tour.
You can find me. All my gaming stuff is Vigil SC on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Because I'm a musician in a band, and I have a lot of people following me on my other socials. But anytime, I was telling these guys in the pre-show, anytime I post something that is video game related, it gets little to no traction. No one cares. So I made a separate account for that kind of stuff, so I can post about it, talk about it, and engage with people who actually care. So that's exciting. So Vigil SC for all my gaming stuff, and yeah, that's where you should go.
If we chat after show, remind me that I had a question that merges the lines between streaming and music that I wanted to ask you, but I won't hit you with it here since we're in the outro. And then you're going on tour with your band that goes inside, which I think is freaking awesome. And way back when, if you weren't listening back then, folks, when we heard from Vigil on Twitter that he listened to Angry Chicken, I was like, holy shit, I know who you are, and your band is awesome. So that's why we started bringing you on, because I was a fan of The Ghost Inside. So you're going on tour. Where can folks find you?
Yeah, my band's The Ghost Inside. We're going on tour with a band called The Day to Remember.
I might know them. They're just a
they're
little
from
popular
Ocala.
in
They're
Florida.
from Ocala, Florida. Yeah. No, we're going on tour with them, and it's exciting because I don't want to go too deep into everything, but our band had to be sidelined because we were in a tour bus accident, and we spent so many years recovering from that. And then right when we came back, COVID started, lockdown started. So we haven't actually been on tour since like 2015. So it's going to be interesting to go on tour and do what we can. We're not playing every date of the tour. We're playing just like select dates that we can travel to without having to put a lot of stress on our bodies, because our drummer lost his leg in the accident. I have an ankle fusion, broke my back, broke my neck. Like have a donor ACL. Like we're all a mess physically. So we're doing what we can. We're getting back on the road, and it's exciting. And I'm going to be playing Hearthstone on my phone from the road, and I'm going to be downloading the Angry Chicken patron feed with no ads. It's awesome not having ads.
You're so good at promoting our stuff for us.
I'm being serious.
I don't know what we did
cool.
without him. He is the best
cool.
spokesperson our show has ever had, and he's currently on our show.
Yes.
Well, because I was a fan of the show before I was on it. Is the thing. That's what you got to do. You got to get people who are fans of the show.
I know. I'm familiar with this. I had 7 years before I was on the show of downloading every week.
You know, that's also great, but I also love when Slyssa comes on and we have to explain what a podcast is. You know, it's a good time.
Hey, that
Not
was
what our podcast is. What a podcast
Yes,
is.
a podcast. What
That
is
was
podcast?
so funny.
What is podcast? Yeah. Well, folks, if you are wondering about that Patreon, check it out, patreon.com/TAC, and thank you so much for the support. Huge thanks to our producer, Dustin C., as well. You can find more information about that over on the Patreon. And other than that, back catalog of episodes can be found at theangrychicken.com. We're typically live Monday nights, but next week, because of the new expansion, we actually would like to play it before we do our podcast. So next week, if you want to join us live, we'll be here at twitch.tv/amovetv on Wednesday night next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Pending, might be a little late. I have class next Wednesday, which I know sounds lame to say, but I should be done in time.
Okay.
So if we're a little late, that just know. And you probably don't because it's at the end of the podcast and no one heard this. Hey, Hat, where can folks find you?
I have a joke first. Not a joke, like a bit. It's, you know what else has class? Pure Paladin, which you'll be playing. So you can find me. I tweet at twitter.com/ridiculoushat. I'll be streaming on expansion night at 10 o'clock Eastern every expansion. I do 6 streams a year, 3 theory craftings now. Hopefully we'll get invited back to the next one. And then 3 launch streams. I open all my packs, keep track of which card back was the luckiest, and then play every deck I can at 10 o'clock Eastern time next Tuesday night. Twitch.tv/ridiculoushat. And then I'm on 2 other Hearthstone podcasts where we're going to try and figure out what we do with content this week. Who knows what's going to be. So that's Vicious Syndicate, where we take a high level look at, or a data-driven look at the high-level standard metagame over at vicioussyndicate.com. And at CoinConcede, we make the competitive side of the game more accessible to you over at CoinConcede.com. Vigil also has that on his patron feed because he is a boss. That's what he is right there. Garrett, where can people find you?
Well, I'm on Twitter at Garrett Art. I just ended Into the Nexus, and we'll be rebranding that feed as a brand new podcast this Thursday. At the moment, it is titled Garrett and Kyle's Podcast Vacation. That has already been renamed because we put up 2 special episodes while I was in Key West talking about what it's like when your game is murdered and what it's like to change games as a content creator. And then we also did an episode where we talked about just our favorite games. And if you like those 2 episodes, you'll probably like the next show we launch because it might be a bit of a preview of things to come. It's got a picture of me and Kyle. It says new podcast loading on the art. Just subscribe to that and you'll get the new show when I launch it this Thursday. Looking forward to it. Also, check out Grinding Gear on YouTube, youtube.com/amovetv, because I can't rename a YouTube URL. Go there, get all of Kyle and my Final Fantasy XIV content. We're putting up a new video this Wednesday. We just streamed today. We'll be streaming again on Thursday after we're done with the podcast. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of The Angry Chicken. Until next time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.